So here we completed the radio interview part. In this online digital video, the last topic we are going to talk about is the most uh, interesting, you can say the cherry on the top topic of radio industry, which is radio jockeys. So in today's world, today's generation, young crowds are interested towards radio to become a radio jockey, to become popular, and there are many youngsters who wants to pursue their career in radio as radio jockey. So now in this part of this video, we are going to talk about the qualities of our radio jockey. Let me share the screen with you. And also I have two different interesting videos which I want to share with you today. I'm going to show you these videos today, but after some time. But before that, let us go through with the qualities of a radio jockey. Number one quality is voice modulation. So as we know that radio is an audio media where a voice is coming out, and as a listeners, we are listening to that particular voice. So voice modulation is, is the paramount important quality of a radio jockey. So today, I'm going to show you a video on how you can module your voice effectively by a very renowned voiceover artist, voice trainer. Let's go and let's watch the video first. Let me share the video with you, which is regarding the voiceover and voice modulation. And here it is.
The message that meets the eye must meet the ears. And this is what I heard from one of my friends ages ago when I started my career as a voiceover artist. And having a voice is not good enough, but having a powerful, effective voice is always what adds value to the message that you're going to convey. Now, voice modulation is an art, and that's what makes communication turn into articulation. And I believe that it is the most essential tool that people must practice in order to add value to the communication skills that they already own and hold. Now, how does one do this? Now, if you really want the larynx to open up, there are two or three things that I will recommend. The first one is please enunciate properly. People have a habit of discontinuously speaking, which means they do not complete the words, which means that they will prepare a script and be in a hurry to finish what they need to say. And I believe at this stage, you must understand the power of emphasis. The exact syllable on which you emphasize will much away from you. So what will you do? You will project your voice. In order for you to project your voice, it requires a certain amount of practice. And what is this practice called? It's called pitching. And what is pitch? The entire horizontal throw of your voice is called pitching. Many people get mixed up with pitching and volume control. Now, volume, in my definition, is the vertical control of the throw of your voice. And if you are raising your voice, that can be in terms of volume. You can raise and also have a low pitch. So it's rather confusing for a lot of people to understand. For beginners, I will only recommend that if you really want to project your voice, learn vertical projections and also learn horizontal projections. I think that's the way to start learning how to keep growing your voice to different levels of audiences so that you can engage audiences. How do you do this? For beginners, the best way to project your voice is use your body guidance to project your voice. Use your body to throw your voice. Use your body to raise your pitch and to lower your pitch. Think of yourself as climbing down a small flight of stairs. A small flight of stairs. So it means that you are using your voice as if you are raising it according to one step, and one step till you reach the comfortable pitch that you can reach. The other way of doing it is lower your voice until such that you're comfortable. So if you can have this imaginary step and the stairway inside of your head and pitch according to that, I think you are adding tone, you are adding quality, you're adding pitch to your voice, and thereby the message that meets the ear is definitely the message that meets the eye. Because if the message that meets the eye does not meet the ear, the human brain that's listening is always left in doubt. It's also very important to understand another aspect of vocal variety, and this is called pausing. Powerful speakers always pause. And if you pause too long, then the audience tends to think that you're unprepared or probably you're not sure about it. So it's a very thin hairline that separates exactly whether you're an average articulator or you're a superior articulator. And how do you do this? Only by the virtue of practice. Every single aspect of articulation and communication requires intense discipline and practice. So like Bruce Lee said, do you know 20,000 gigs practiced once? Or do you know one gig that is practiced 20,000 times? For voice, I would recommend one gig practiced 20,000 times.
So this was how you can utilize your voice. And now let me again share the presentation where we will find the qualities of our radio jockey. We have another video to project for your better understanding, but end of this video. So the voice modulation, we have heard what is voice modulation, what is pitching, how you can throw your voice, how can you enhance your volume, how you will uh, incorporate pause, proper pronunciation, everything. So all these are actually the qualities of a good radio jockey, followed by fluency in language, pronunciation. We already had a talk about it. Well-versed. A person should be well-versed to become a radio jockey. And for that, one should have enough knowledge about what is happening around. Well-versed doesn't mean speaking something which has no sense, but you have to speak in sense. A radio jockey must be a positive character. Uh, if you take any example, if you take example of your own self, you also want to be with a person who is positive, positive by his or her nature, his or her attitude, the way they speaks. So a radio jockey should be a very positive personality. A radio jockey must be very disciplined in terms of their lives, the way they follow the rules and regulation, the way they take up responsibility. Discipline means a lot. A radio jockey should be updated so that that radio jockey can speak in sense which has some information, some interesting information within their conversation. Use of proper emotions. So use of proper emotions is something which is related to voice modulation. As per the meaning of the uh, as per the meaning and the content what a radio jockey is going to speak about, they should use proper emotion. When you are happy, the way you modulate your voice, the way your happiness will come out through your voice. When you are going to talk about something which is serious and not so happy, your voice, your emotion should be exactly like that. A radio jockey must be confident enough. And what is confidence? One become confident when they know what they are doing, when they are clear about, when they have clear idea about their responsibilities, about their profession, when they are well versed, when they're updated. So confidence will come automatically. Hmm. Next is presence of mind. In radio, sometimes you may have to face some certain situation which was not uh, which was not supposed to be there, but suddenly it happened. It can be a negative situation, it can be a positive situation. Some urgency can come up suddenly. So to manage that particular situation at that point of time, as per the emergency and the incident what has happened at that point of time, and taking right decision is very important. For that, presence of mind is very important character of a radio jockey. Patience. A radio jockey must have patience. When a radio jockey is a basically voice actor, a radio jockey is the voice for the society. So, uh, to become a popular radio jockey, to become a celebrity radio jockey, it takes a lot of time, lot of practice. If you start your show today, tomorrow you don't expect that popularity suddenly, but it will take 1 year, more than 1 year, and a long period of time and hard work to get the results of your hard work. So patience is very important. Radio jockey should be a hard worker. There is no shortcut to reach to your goal of the success. There is no shortcut to become a popular radio jockey. Hard work is the only way. A radio jockey must be a multitasker. Uh, it is not only that a radio jockey will present his or her show. Yes, that is the prime responsibility of a radio jockey. But a radio jockey should know how to write a script for programming team, a script for marketing and sales team. So there are two different kind of scripts in radio. One is for programming, one is for entertainment purpose, and one is for advertising purpose. So a radio jockey should know that techniques of writing radio scripts and radio copies. A radio jockey should have enough idea about music. They should also sometimes may have to produce a show, and there are many other work in radio station which is related to programming or maybe marketing, which a radio jockey sometimes may have to do or support the team. Another very important personality and quality of a radio jockey is punctuality. I told you earlier that radio sells its second edge to earn revenue through advertisements. So in radio, time management and punctuality is very important. If your show starts from, for say, 7 a.m. morning, so you cannot be late. Punctuality is very important. A radio jockey should be a local person of that particular area so that he or she can understand the culture, the feel, the essence of that particular area. So when we hear a person is talking about, for say, I am currently sitting at Kolkata and I'm listening to a radio. If I uh, if I listen to a radio jockey who is speaking about the culture of Kolkata, the Durga Puja festival of Kolkata, so I can then and then, being an Calcuttan, I can relate to that particular radio jockey. So the connection builds then and there. So it is very important to be a localite of that particular area to become a radio jockey. That is always a plus point. And a radio jockey should be a lifelong learner. Every day, whatever you know, you might have a huge knowledge about radio, you might have a huge experience about radio jockeying. Maybe you are a very good and very popular radio jockey, but still there is a chance to learn something new, something better, which will make you a better person in coming days. So these are few very important qualities of a radio jockey. Yeah, you can say a radio jockey is basically a mixed bag of all these qualities. Uh, and now I'm going to show you another video which is based on radio host and how to become a very popular radio host. Let me share you the screen, and here is the video.
Hello, I'm Mike Russell from musicradiocreative.com. In this video, if you'd like to sound like a pro on the radio, this video will show you everything you need to know to get that pro radio voice.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
As I mentioned at the start, this video will help you get everything you need in place to get that perfect radio voice. So in this video, we will cover 3 main areas. Number 1, theory, how to achieve the perfect radio presence before you even go live. Number 2, the tools, everything you need in place to get that perfect radio sound. Number 3, techniques, post-production techniques that will make your voice sound $1 million. So that's a lot to cover. I've called in some backup. James Mulvaney is the founder of online radio platform radio.co, and he's got over a decade of experience in broadcasting. James has extensive knowledge of working at radio stations, from presenting to program controller and more, and that makes him perfect to cover the theory side before we even fire up the phantom power and get into microphones and post-production. So let's learn more about the theory side. James, it's over to you.
Did you know that the best way to make an extra income on Amazon is not by setting up an online store?
Hey, cheers. Thanks for that, Mike. Hi, my name is James Mulvaney. I'm founder of radio.co, podcast.co, matchmaker.fm, and Q Podcasts. And over the past 15 years, I've worked with tens of thousands of broadcasters and podcasters, helping them launch their radio stations and their broadcasting careers. And there is no formula to becoming the perfect presenter that appeals to absolutely everyone. However, there are 5 principles that I want to share with you today, which will really help you aid your presentation skills. And you can implement these really easily to make sure that your show is sounding great every single time. Okay, so the first point is to really know your audience, know exactly who your audience is. So it doesn't matter if you're presenting perhaps like adult contemporary music or top 40, or maybe you're on news or talk radio. The way that you're going to be communicating with your audience will vary depending on the genre that your station is targeting, and of course the demographic of the type of listener that you're aiming towards. So for example, perhaps your audience is, I don't know, middle-aged guys. Let's call your ideal listener Dave, and he spends his weekends sat in his shed building and painting bird boxes. You might speak to Dave in a slightly different way while he's listening to the radio in his shed than you talk to a teenager who wants to hear Ariana Grande or whatever being played constantly. Who is specifically listening to your radio station? Too many people go into radio just thinking, well, everyone's listening. Well, my audience could be anyone. But really, that's not true. When you think about it, each radio station or whatever you're trying to do, whether or not you're presenting radio or podcast or even video like this, will be targeting a different kind of person. So try and get into sync with who your listener actually is. Think about what they're going to be doing while they're listening to you, what sort of things that they like to hear about, what's going on in their lives, and really tune into that. And that will enable you to become an effective communicator and a really, really good presenter. So that's tip number 1. So tip number 2, and this is a really easy one that anyone can start implementing straight away, is talk directly to the listener. So if you're sat there saying, hey, everybody, or hi, guys, or just make it kind of generic, it can kind of sound a little bit impersonal. Whereas if you say, hey, I hope your day is going great. What are you up to today? That kind of thing. Speaking directly as if it's just you and you, e.g. the person sat on the other end. Make it personal, make it feel intimate. You're immediately going to be able to build stronger connections with your audience and who you're trying to speak to. If you're having that engaging one-on-one conversation over the radio, that's why people still love listening to radio 100 years down the line. And that's what makes radio so incredibly powerful. So tip number 3, Get your audience really involved in your show. This is great fun, and I think this is what makes radio as a DJ or as a presenter so much fun compared to other mediums. It is real time, and you can reach out to people for their opinions. You can get people engaged with what your show contains and the output of what you're talking about. And it might be today's news stories, or it might be a contentious issue, or it could be something that people are really passionate about. Whatever it might be, remind your audience that they can communicate with you, and you can get them on air, either do a pre-recorded interview with your listeners, or even actually get them on live. But regardless, getting your listeners involved in your show and getting them involved in the story and creating your show around their stories as well as your own can be really, really powerful. And as a presenter, you are the conduit between your listener's stories and the listener who is also tuning into your show. As weird as that sounds, it's very much powerful because people want to know what other people are doing, and people are interested in other people's stories. And radio is a fantastic medium for storytelling. Okay, so my fourth tip is be confident in what you're saying and also prepare for every single show that you do. It's always useful to consider writing a script when it comes to radio. And I don't mean necessarily doing something word for word, but having an outline for each show, or having a key list of bullet points of things that you think are important to mention. Perhaps you're coming out of a song and you're going to go into a link. What do you want to talk about during a link? It could be that you're talking about something that's happened that day. It might be cross promotion. You're talking about someone else's show on the radio station, or something that happened on the breakfast show earlier that morning. Make sure you've got this stuff down in front of you, so when you go into that link, you feel confident and you feel like you can easily talk about the points that are relevant for your show. And by the way, I've recorded a video all about this. I'll put a link above, called How to Write an Effective Script specifically for radio. And I've also got a template that you can download for free over on my website at jamesm.com/scripts. I'll put a link below, jamesm.com/scripts. You download them for free and go and check them out. Basically, it will give you a script that you can follow when it comes to presenting great radio. And finally, don't change your voice and be yourself. This is something that so many people feel like for some reason when they first come into radio, they have to sound a certain way. But your voice as it currently is, and the way you speak to people day to day, is absolutely fine. Gone are the days when, like from back in the 80s, where people felt like they had to be like this big cool DJ and have this big booming voice, or kind of appear a certain way. I don't think there's any harm in kind of elevating your normal personality. No one wants to listen to someone who's boring on air. Sure, you need to share your enthusiasm. That needs to come across when you're speaking down the microphone. But don't think that you need to change your voice. You need to make it deeper or higher, or you need to speak at 110 miles an hour. Radio these days is about personality, and it's just about being yourself. So don't feel like you need to act or change yourself to be a confident presenter, and enjoy it. Enjoy what you're doing and have fun with it. So those are my top 5 tips to becoming a great presenter. If you follow these tips, you'll be well on your way to excelling when it comes to your radio show or your podcast. I've been James from radio.co. Thanks very much for watching. And back to you, Mike.
Thanks so much, James. Now let's move on to gear. And in reality, this can be as simple or as complex as you'd like. For instance, in my studio, I'm using the AKG C414 XL2 microphone, and that's running through a Soundcraft Signature 12 MTK mixing desk, which I absolutely love.
When you write, your tone influences how readers respond. With Grammarly, just highlight your text and type how you want.
I've got a rack full of analog gear, including a DBX215S, which is used to EQ my streams. Also the DBX166XS, which adds some overall compression. I've got 2 DBX286S units to process my microphones. I've also got a headphone preamp from Behringer and a Furman power conditioner as well to add noise-free power to all of my analog units. But you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. The humble USB microphone will suffice as well. There are some really good options out there. My favorite is the Bayer Dynamic Fox. Finally, on to technique and some tips that will add some extra zip or zing to your audio. And we'll be using the free audio editor Audacity, which can be downloaded online. Okay, so I'm fired up into Audacity, and I've set up my Bayer Dynamic Fox USB microphone with absolutely no processing on it whatsoever to record a radio voiceover. This is 99.9 MRC.FM. So let's play that back. This is 99.9 MRC.FM. Okay, not sounding too bad, but we can definitely do some stuff to improve it. So you can hear a before and after comparison. I'm actually going to select the whole track by double clicking it, hit Command or Control C on my keyboard, and then place the cursor further on and Command or Control V to make an exact copy. So now I'll work on the second copy, then we'll compare what we've done and hear the differences. The very first thing I'm going to recommend you do is EQ a voiceover. That way you can get rid of any frequencies that shouldn't be there and add on some that should be there, like the high end, to make it sound crisp and punchy and nice. So let's do that. Into the effects menu in Audacity, and we're looking for Filter Curve EQ. It's a really easy effect to use. You'll want to start off by flattening it and then drawing on your shapes. Now, there's frequencies all the way from the bass, all the way through the mid, all the way up to the high end. And the first thing I'm going to do is do a simple bass roll off. And I'll put in a dot here and a dot here and fade down the bass. Let's preview. This is 99.9. Now you'll notice if I move this way up and I go too far up, it's going to thin out the voice a bit. This is 99.9. And in some instances, when you're doing radio imaging, that could be quite handy to get that kind of sound. But for me, I want to keep the fullness and definitely the bass in my voice. So I'm going to roll off just above 100 hertz and maybe even slightly below. So that's how your bass roll off should be. It's called a high pass filter, by the way. And then just above 4,000 hertz, we're going to start to add on some high end. Let's try that, preview it. This is 99.9. And of course, the more high end, if I really turn that up so you can hear it, this is 99. Now, of course, that's too much. We're introducing way amounts of sibilance and distortion. So I'll pull it back down to about here. This is 99.9. And now already, just with those two effects in the EQ, we've rolled off bass. So any plosives, any pops, any rumbles, any booms have gone. And the crispness and clarity of the voice increased. Just using that simple technique inside the filter curve EQ effect. Click OK, and we'll listen to before. This is 99.9. And after, this is 99.9. Crisp and clear. Now we can see that, well, there are some peaks in the audio and there's some quieter bits. We'd like to kind of be the same volume all the way through, nice and loud, punchy. If it's a radio voiceover, if it is a voiceover for radio imaging, we're going to want it to sound really good. So again, selecting the whole audio here, just this bit, not the original sound. And we'll go into effects again, and we'll set up a compressor right here. Now, the way you set up a compressor is you choose a threshold. So that's any audio that goes above the level you set will be compressed, turned down, as it were. So usually I recommend minus 20 dB as a good starting place here. You can move this around, but obviously the higher you make this, the less the compressor will work. Minus 20 is generally good. You can leave the noise floor exactly as it is. Now, ratio usually is around 2:1, and this is good for podcast and things like that. When we're working in radio, we might go 3:1, or even if we're going for hard radio imaging, we might go 5:1. So a radio presenter's voice would probably be a 3:1 ratio, and 5:1 is good for imaging. This is just how much the audio is compressed when it as you may be if you're working with a drum track, for instance, or a music track. For voiceover, attack and release should be as fast as possible. And then finally, you've got the makeup gain to 0 dB. This is an excellent feature in Audacity. Because of compression, it will actually turn your overall audio down. So what ticking this does, which is default, by the way, it makes it louder and up to a maximum of 0 dB. So when I click OK, watch the waveform, see how it's nicely flattened out. And now we've got this radio voiceover. This is 99.9 MRC.FM. And the original, this is 99.9 MRC.FM. And after one more time, this is 99.9 MRC.FM. Crisp and clear with just a couple of effects, the EQ and compressor do the trick. So there you have it, how you can achieve the perfect radio voice distilled down to just 3 steps. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like tips on improving your radio presenting skills, equipment reviews, and all the latest gear in radio, you can check out James's YouTube channel, and there'll be a link down in the description. Finally, James and the team at radio.co have put together a bunch of helpful goodies that will help you up your radio game, and if you'd like to download those, again, the link is down below. Make sure you like this video, and also if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and ding the bell so you never miss another
Okay, so this was the video, and the surprise was we have learned how to use basic Audacity software, which is an free audio software. You can easily find it on Google, on Play Store as well. So download it, practice it. It is the most easiest audio editing software which is available free for practice for us, for students, for any professional. So that was really a surprise for all of us, that we have learned how to operate very basic Audacity software. So if you want to work in radio, practice is the only way to get into that industry. It is a booming industry. Radio is, with the time, with the convergence of media, radio is changing its characteristics. Now radio is also digital. So there are a lot of opportunity where a young coming budding student can work with radio industry. So all the best. I am Arnab Basu, Assistant Professor, Adamas University for the School of Media and Communication, signing off here. Thank you.